welcome to the Badass Breastfeeding Podcast. This is Dianne, your lactation consultant.
And I'm Abby, the Badass Breastfeeder. And today's episode is brought to you by Dianne and Abby. Dianne and Abby nursing and pumping bras designed for combination nursing and pumping, and camis as well. So you can stop holding your flanges or changing in and out of different bras to pump or nurse. I can't stand it when people are holding their flanges. I know if that works for you, that's cool. But when I see people holding their flanges while they're pumping, I'm like, oh God.
There's easier ways.
Yeah, like your hands. I know some people really want to like push it in or something, but I don't know. Give a bra a try and let your hands go. But we'll hear more from our sponsor later. But you can head to badassbreastfeedingpodcast.com and check out our sponsor page. If you ever need anything, see if you can give them any of your business because they make this podcast possible. And while you're there, scroll down and enter your email address, and we will send episodes straight to your inbox every week. And we are on Patreon, and we are still hoping to find you over there and joining us in our fun sharing of what's going on in our lives every week, and extra ad-free episodes and mini podcasts by Dianne and I that we will get done this week. And
I just posted one the other day. I think I did anyway. Okay. Sometimes me and Patreon don't get along, so
because
I don't know. Yeah, so I think I posted one.
I haven't posted one because I was out of town for a week in the snow doing snow stuff, which I hate, but whatever. And then also, so visit the link at the top of the show notes under this episode, wherever you're listening from, and see if any of those tiers look good to you. And it is true. You do pay to be there. We have a $3 tier, a $5 tier, and an $8 tier. This is a monthly payment that supports the podcast. It goes right into our podcast fund to, for the production of this podcast. But when you're there and you're giving it that way, we also provide a lot of unique and original content for that platform over there. Also, we are still hosting our review giveaway, which is leave a review wherever you want on the internet, wherever you can, a written review, stars, whatever it is that you do on whatever app it is. Send us a screenshot to badassbreastfeedingpodcast@gmail.com, and we'll send you a goodie bag of stickers and thank you for nursing in public cards. And now Dianne has our review of the week.
Oh, I do. Hold on. Yes, I do. I absolutely love this podcast. I am a first-time mom. I did a lot of research and took a breastfeeding class while pregnant. However, this podcast has taught me more than I could have ever learned on my own about breastfeeding. So happy I have found this podcast and recommend it to all my expecting and mommy friends. I feed my baby on demand and always have. Early on, I was pumping. I rarely pump now because my freezer was getting extremely full and my daughter prefers her milk straight from the source, mommy's nipple, which is fine by me. Less bottle and pump part washing. Shout out to you guys for teaching me about the milk bank challenge. I happily donated 250 ounces to a local milk bank. Nice. I know, that's fantastic. They even had a courier come to my house and pick up the milk, making it extremely convenient. One night I was devastated to see that I only pumped a few drops of milk from one breast. I feared that my breastfeeding journey was coming to an end quicker than I imagined. The following day, I learned from your podcast that you cannot measure breast milk by pumping. The amount of milk you pump does not dictate how much milk the baby is getting. The timing of learning that couldn't have been any better. I was no longer afraid and was extremely confident that my breastfeeding journey was going to continue as long as the baby and I would like. Your podcast reassured me that the baby is getting enough milk regardless of what is being pumped. I was just so relieved to hear that my body is producing exactly what my baby needs. I'm still exclusively breastfeeding at 7 months postpartum and can't be more happy. I feel so empowered to feed my baby anywhere, anytime. I want to encourage other mothers to do the same. Thank you guys for this podcast and for being so amazing and so informative. I will forever and always listen and recommend to all of my mommy friends.
Aw, what a fantastic review.
It is a fantastic review. And I'm so glad you got the milk bank challenge. That's fantastic to donate really cool. That much milk. Yeah. Congratulations to you. That's such a gift to other families. And you've done an amazing job with your little babe. So congratulations.
Yeah. I would give you more information about the milk bag challenge, but I'm pretty sure that it's over for now. But they do it every fall, I believe. So when it comes back around, we will certainly let everyone know. And you donate milk, and then you can get a $200 Amazon credit from the Conceivabilities agency that does it.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
So, yeah.
Oh, and then I have an announcement too before we get started today.
I don't know what this is either.
Well, you might know, but as of January 24th, breastfeeding mothers in Alabama are exempt from jury duty.
Yay!
Woohoo! So if anybody listened to our episode last week on jury duty, we talked about a situation that happened in Alabama. And since then, because we did that episode several weeks ago and then it just came out. So since then, Alabama has decided that.
Wait, based on her?
It says because of public outcry. After a public outcry, Alabama Supreme Court made the decision that Alabama mothers are exempt from jury duty.
Here we go. Abby's about to go. So listen. This happened in when? December, January?
I think it was December. I can't remember when the
incident happened, but it was within the past couple of months. And within the past couple of months, we've had the Alabama Supreme Court gather together and agree to something and then execute the new law.
Yes.
Okay, so it can be done.
Mm-hmm.
So it can be done, except all of this other stuff that, I mean, I'm not going to complain because this is for breastfeeding parents. So this is amazing that they did that. And so take note, the rest of the country, you can do this. You can do it.
Yeah.
You can do it quickly too. You can just be like, okay, yeah, that should work. We should just do that, get it on the books, and let's move on. It doesn't take that long, apparently.
Isn't that amazing?
That is amazing. It's amazing also that they rallied that quickly for breastfeeding parents.
I know it. I love it. So thank you so much to everybody who did a nurse-in or whatever it is that you did, because it made all the difference in the world.
It worked. Yes, that's great.
It worked.
And
so
Alabama.
Congratulations.
Mm-hmm. I don't know anything about Alabama, so no hate to Alabama. But when you think of Alabama, I think of a place that isn't going to rally that quickly for breastfeeding parents.
Right.
Just because, I don't know, I guess I have some sort of prejudice or something. I just hear a southern state, they're, I don't know. Right?
Yeah, the southern states typically have lower breastfeeding rates for whatever reason.
Well, maybe because of whatever reason.
Because I'm of thinking. Stuff like that.
Yeah, they're slower.
The support's just not there. Yeah, the support's just not there. Like we want it to be. So that is why this is such a big deal. One of the reasons why this is such a big deal, but it really sets a precedent for the rest of the states.
Yeah.
So everybody else needs to get on it. So go back and listen to that jury duty episode if you haven't listened to it yet. And you'll know what we're talking
January
about.
24th that happened?
Yeah, January 24th.
Good. It happened on Trump's time too, which we're happy about. So continue to do all the things that he would hate because we love that. And you can still do it.
Absolutely. So that was my announcement.
That is really cool. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's really cool. So, and today we're going to talk about medications, but you have an email or a message to get us started. I have a message.
And somebody sent this to, I think it was Instagram. Yeah, it was Instagram. And I had to Google this term because I didn't know it right away. She says, "Hi there. Do you have any information on taking GLP-1s while breastfeeding?" I didn't know what that was, but that's like the Ozempic weight loss shot.
Injection. Yeah.
Injections. Yes. That you give yourself. Well, you go to a clinic and then they give you the medication and all that. It says, "I've seen some of what the science says online, and there are some who say it's safe and some who don't. So what are your opinions? Do you have any additional resources?" And so I thought this was a great question because this is so popular right now. It's been, all these drugs like Ozempic and there's other ones, but they've been, released now, and a lot of people are doing it. My mom is doing it. And she's not breastfeeding or anything, but obviously.
Now, is she doing it strictly for weight? Just I'm curious. Is she doing it strictly for weight loss, or was there a diabetic component to it for her as well?
Strictly weight
Just
loss.
strictly for weight loss?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and she well, let's talk about the breastfeeding piece. The problem is that there's not a lot. Go ahead.
The problem is that there's not a lot of information on it because it's a fairly new thing to be doing. This is fairly new. But if you look at the drugs and lactation database, LactMed, which is what we look at for medications, it was not detected in the milk of mothers taking the drug subcutaneously, which is the injections, and their breastfed infants experienced no adverse effects. So there is not a lot of research, but the research that has been done shows that it is safe.
Yeah. And so the drug itself is, seems like it's safe with a very, very minimal research that's been done so far.
Mm-hmm.
But then if you, like my mom lost, I don't know, like 50 pounds in the matter of a few months. And so she's 70, so she's not lactating or anything. But what happens to your body when you suddenly lose, say, 50 pounds? Would that certainly have effect like hormonally? Would it have effect? Would that sort of indirectly affect your milk supply?
We don't know.
We don't know that. So I'm not trying to say don't do it. I'm just trying to say the drug is safe. There's other things to think about. Like, I don't know. Maybe this is a good one to talk to other people about. You can say if you're, if you can find other breastfeeding people who are on it. If you're a breastfeeding parent and you're listening and you're on this drug, let us know what's going on and what happened.
So I don't know if there's any side effects. Like, did your mom have any side effects or anything?
So that's the other thing. That is going to be the other thing, is that you lose your appetite. You just absolutely lose your appetite. She would have she would complain a lot about having a kind of a unsettled stomach, and she just had no appetite. And they tell you you have to have this amount of, I think they just gave her protein direction. She had to have a certain amount of protein in a day, and she never met that because she could not eat. She was so just revolted by food.
Oh my God.
And that's how you lose weight. You pretty much just stop eating. And you're on this drug, so you're fine with it. I know she knows other people who are on this drug who had some mental health issues, some depression issues. I don't know the details of that, but losing your appetite and not eating is something. I know we always say my favorite thing is to say women in concentration camps were still breastfeeding their babies. I mean, that's not my favorite thing to say. That's my worst. I hate saying that. But I say that as an example of your breast milk supply is going to continue to be there despite a lot of things that can happen to your body. But I don't know.
Right.
If you suddenly stop eating, if you suddenly lose a bunch of weight, you suddenly stop eating completely. No, she would force herself to eat once in a while because she had to, then she would be I remember, here's the other thing. We would walk. We used to, it's winter now, but in the summer we go to restaurants and sit outside and stuff. And I remember us walking to a restaurant that was a few blocks away. And she was so spent by the time we got there. I thought she was going to pass out. I was really worried because she's not eating. So she has no energy. She had no, she would be lightheaded and all of these things that come with just not eating. Mm-hmm. Now, this is just my mom's experience. I have no idea. I don't know anybody else who has been on this. So I can only speak, to what she tells me and what I've seen. But so these are just things to, I think about.
Yeah, because we don't know like what the quality of your milk is going to be when you're not taking in vital vitamins and nutrients that you need to have, when you're breastfeeding. And we do know that, you're like Abby said, your milk supply is going to be your milk supply, even if you're in a difficult situation. But in extreme famine, we do know that in extreme famine situations, your milk is going to deteriorate. So is this considered extreme famine? Are you, because you're just like not eating for months? It sounds like.
And I say, people in concentration camps who were breastfeeding their babies, I always come back to that because we know that happened.
Mm-hmm.
But how long were they there? How long did that go on for? How long, so we don't know that either. I mean, I personally don't know that. So.
Right. So, yeah. So Ozempic and medications like that for breastfeeding, they typically are safe. But like Abby's saying, you have to consider all the other side effect things that come along with it. Would that be safe for you and your baby? Is it a safe choice for you and your baby?
Now, she was on Ozempic at first, and then she switched to a different brand or whatever.
Mm.
And she said that was somehow like less upsetting to her stomach, or I can't remember. There was something that so there's different options too, of this type of drug.
Now, what happens when you go off it?
Oh, yeah. She went off it, and she went off it right before Christmas, which was very confusing to me because I'm like, this is like the eatingest holiday ever, especially at our house because we're all together and like, so yeah, she got her appetite came back, and she's eating now and she's gaining weight.
So you have to pretty much stay on it forever, or you have to.
Yeah, I mean, what they tell you in these clinics, and this whole episode is not all about this one drug. We're going to talk about other ones too, but it's really interesting. What they tell you is like when you're not eating and you're not, you're developing these habits of like, you're developing these new habits of not eating and, portion control and all these things that, that we're constantly being talked to about. But she got her appetite back, so she was hungry like a normal person. Your hunger is a normal feeling, and eating food to a certain amount of calories a day is, I know everybody knows this, but like, when you see like people who are like dieting extreme and dieting, that's not normal. Like that's not normal for your body to go through. So, she's kind of going back to normal, and then her normal is just what it's always been. I mean, she's 70. She didn't learn in a couple of months how to just completely eat differently. And so now she says she's going to go back on it.
Ugh.
So I don't know.
Wow. So should we take a break and then we'll talk about the other medications
we'll talk about other medications. Yep. We'll be right back. Today's episode is brought to you by Dianne and Abby Nursing and Pumping Bras. Dianne and Abby designs combo nursing and pumping bras and camis so you can stop holding your flanges or changing in and out of different bras to pump or nurse. They're known for their award-winning Amelia Pumping and Nursing Cami. It's been featured on Forbes, Motherly, The Bump, and was just awarded Babylist's Best Pumping Bra for wearable breast pumps. The Amelia Cami is so comfy you can wear it all day. It features their signature one-handed strap sliders, so there's no plastic nursing clips. It can even be worn as its own top. This brand is female-owned by a breastfeeding mom of 3 and a bra designer of 15 plus years who understand exactly what moms want and need. The owner, Amanda, offers free size and style consults. You can check out their entire collection of combo nursing and pumping bras at davinandadley.com. That's DAVINAndADLEY.com. You can schedule your free consult today and use code BADASS for 15% off your order. Badass for 15% off your order at davinandadley.com. All of this information is in the show notes under this episode, wherever you're listening from. Just scroll down there and you can click the link and use the code. And all of our sponsors and our other episodes are at badassbreastfeedingpodcast.com, as well as information about scheduling your very own one-on-one online lactation consultation with Dianne, who is very carefully reading something.
I was looking at Dianne and Abby because I wanted to see, I had somebody the other day ask me about nursing bras for very big busts. So
yes.
I was looking to see. Yeah. And Dianne and Abby does have that.
Yeah, they do. They go up to like 4XL.
Yeah, it looked like 4XL. Yeah.
So that's definitely
really
check
great.
them out.
Yeah, definitely check them out for sure. So we wanted to talk about medications today because it's been a little while since we actually talked about medications. And then plus we had that message about the Ozempic and stuff too. So we wanted to talk about that. But what is important to remember about medications is that a lot of them are definitely safe when you're breastfeeding. And I think people get really concerned, like, is it going to go to the baby? What's going to happen? Is something going to happen to the baby if I take this medication? And I mean, most medications are fine because, like, what kind of things are we talking about here? Like,
usually like anxiety meds or, antidepressants.
Antidepressants. Like, what do people take postpartum? Antidepressants.
Ibuprofen.
Tylenol, things like ibuprofen, Tylenol, antibiotics, for whatever reason. And if you're taking a medication for something for your health, like say thyroid medication or something like that, all of those things are perfectly fine. Now, if it's a medication that you've taken during pregnancy, you can take it while you're breastfeeding. That's perfectly safe to do so. Ibuprofen is perfectly safe to take. I know you can't take it during pregnancy, but you can take Tylenol during pregnancy, can't you? Isn't that one of the things they tell you can take? I think so.
And what you can take during pregnancy is not, because some people are like, oh, I couldn't take that when I was pregnant, so I can't take it now. But it's different. It's different. The baby's not inside you anymore.
Yeah,
so it's completely different. There's way more. I mean, most everything you can take.
And a lot of people will ask about allergy meds because allergy meds get a bad rap because some allergy meds, I'm not going to say a lot of allergy meds, but some allergy meds you cannot take. So if it's something like Benadryl or Sudafed, those are meant to dry secretions. So if your medication has what's called pseudoepinephrine in it, then it's not safe to take because it could dry you up.
It's safe. I mean, you're not going to hurt anybody.
No, you're not going to hurt anybody. Yeah. And that's what people don't think about because people are always like, well, what about the baby? Is it going to go to the baby? Is it going to hurt the baby? Blah, blah, blah. Well, not blah, blah, blah. But you know what I mean? So so I worry more about, like, is this going to affect your milk supply? Because there are medications out there that can affect your milk supply. And that's going to be a bigger stressor, right? Like a lot of these things are safe for the baby, but now, I think people get like, is this safe for the baby? And is this going to go to the baby? I think they get those things confused. Everything goes to the baby, but it doesn't mean that it's not safe. It's totally okay. And you have to understand too, that by the time your baby gets anything from you, it's been metabolized first. So it's not like you're giving your baby a medication because that's not how it is.
That's how it is in pregnancy.
Right.
Because your baby and you're sharing a bloodstream, you're sharing everything. And your baby is not in you anymore. You don't have to. It's not the same as them directly taking the medication.
No, it's not. It's not at all the same thing. It's very different. Now, as babies grow, they can metabolize a little bit better. So as your baby is older, they can handle medications a little bit better. So sometimes when people will contact me about medications and say, you know, like, can I take this medication? My first question is, and let's be like totally transparent. I'm not a prescriber. Lactation consultants are not supposed to be like, oh, here, take this medication. I can guide you on what to talk to your doctor about. But I can't tell you like, oh, yeah, you can take this medication. You can take that medication. I'm going to prescribe it for you, blah, blah, blah. I can't do that. But I can help you to advocate for yourself on what you want to take so that you can talk to your provider about it. Because a lot of times providers just err on the side of caution and say, no, you can't take this, even though it is perfectly safe for you to take.
Yes.
So I always ask, like, how old is the baby? Because if it's a baby that's older, especially a baby that's a little older, they can metabolize better. Now, for newborns, for very newborn babies, like when you first have a baby, they're giving you oxycodone or whatever they're giving you for pain, like they're giving you Vicodin or whatever. You've had medications during labor, like your baby's getting a lot of medications in that first time frame of their life.
Yeah.
But they're also taking very small amounts of milk. So it is not like they're getting a lot of exposure to that medication because they're taking such small amounts of milk during that time frame. So that's okay. The other thing that's kind of interesting is that you can look into the half-life of the medication. And sometimes I'll do this with a family. And what that means is the half-life of a drug is the time it takes for the drug's active substance in your body to reduce by half. So if you have, and this is how your body processes the drug. And it's different for every medication. Mm-hmm. But if you look up your medication in like Lactamat or something like that, it should tell you like what the half-life of the drug is. And for example, this is the example that I can give you. If a drug's half-life is 4 hours and the initial concentration is 100 milligrams, so if you're taking 100 milligrams of something and it says the half-life is 4 hours, it is estimated that 50 milligrams will remain after 4 hours. So if that's a situation, you can say, oh, I'll take this medication at night when I know my baby's going to go 4 hours between feedings and they're going to only get half that medication. Do you know what I mean?
But they also are not getting 50 milligrams. 50 milligrams is left in your bloodstream.
Exactly.
That does not mean that 50 milligrams then goes through your milk into their body and into their bloodstream.
Right.
This is the exact same discussion of alcohol.
Yeah.
When it's passed through breast milk, it is reduced. It's not like you're drinking, a beer or you're having this medication and then it's directly that is going right into the baby. It's all being metabolized and diluted in your bloodstream and in your milk. And then the same in their body as well. So this is the kind of thing when people are like, okay, well, I'll take this medication. And I mean, like if that makes you feel better, that's great. But, to time it or whatever, that's great. But it's also not completely necessary.
No, it's not necessary. But sometimes like for certain medications, parents do want to have that like comfort of being able to do that.
Yeah. And so
it's absolutely not necessary to do. It is not necessary to do.
Yeah. I think if
you feel better.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, you have to, if you are like struggling with anxiety and depression, which I think is probably the most common thing that we're going to be talking about, take those meds, please.
Yeah.
Really take those meds. Like you don't have to worry about it. You have to worry about yourself. Your baby's fine. Your baby's going to be fine. Just take the meds. And if your doctor's like, well, it's not safe, be like, no, I looked this up on LactMed. This is what it says. And my lactation consultant says it's okay. Can you, please reconsider or find a different doctor or something, because it's not, you need it. You have to take it.
And I know that sometimes with things like anxiety and depression, it can be that cycle because you do have a lot of anxiety and you don't want to take the pills because you're afraid something's going to happen to the baby, but taking the pills will make it better for you. So you really have to push yourself into it sometimes. And we're telling you, it's perfectly safe. Mm-hmm. It is perfectly safe. It is like anything else that you would do. I mean, I've had parents, suffer with headaches and stuff like that because they're too afraid to take an ibuprofen because they don't want anything to go to the baby.
Yeah.
It's perfectly safe. Don't suffer with anything. Don't suffer with headaches or with, colds or, flus and all that stuff. You can take medication. It's okay. And a lot of the time, it's just a very small frame anyway, a day maybe or two. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
You have to feel good to take care of your baby. So know that it's perfectly safe. Things that are not safe are things like chemotherapy medications and, God, what else? There's so much stuff that is
I think
safe.
there's some like HIV medication that's not.
Yeah, I think there's some HIV
safe,
medications that are not safe.
I don't know are people recommended to not breastfeed if they're HIV positive? I don't know.
No, if they're on like antiretroviral, if they're on certain ART medications, they can breastfeed. They just put that out like recently. So,
okay.
Yeah. The AAP getting in line with the WHO.
So then that's safe.
Yeah, that's safe. Okay. But I think there are some that are not safe.
Well, that's also the other thing is that there's some, when they do the research on these different medications, like you've got your Zoloft and your Prozac and your Wellbutrin and all of those. I think there are some that are found to be kind of less present in the milk, or like I have to refresh my memory on this, but you can also read it at LactMed that there's some that are like, oh, this one is, generally prescribed for breastfeeding parents because of its, low presence in milk or blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, that's a really good point because there are some like if you get prescribed a medication and it says that it's not safe, or if they want to prescribe you a medication that says it's not safe, then you can find something that is going to be comparable.
Yeah.
That's, it doesn't mean that you're like all of a sudden you're not able to do it. But this is really important for things like if you have to get something done, like if you have to get a procedure done.
Yes.
And a lot of times, like especially if it's a dental procedure or if it's a surgery, and you're still breastfeeding, a lot of times they'll say, oh, no, you have to wait. You can't do it because you're breastfeeding still. No, that's not the case. Bullshit. It is ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's just not true. It is not true.
Get the procedure
you do not have
done.
to suffer.
Yeah. I was going to say something along the lines of that too.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
I don't remember. I have kind of a head cold. I can't remember.
Abby was out in the snow.
Oh, I know. Oh my God, I forgot again. Oh no. Oh my brain. God. Anyway, yeah, medication. Take it.
It's totally fine to take. I mean, if there is something that comes up, like I said, you can always reach out. We can help to guide you. But most things that you would need is safe. It is safe. And
I was going to say, like your inhaler. Take your inhaler, man. I remember worrying about this a lot. I had an ear infection that I let go because I was so scared to take I was scared to put drops in my ear because I thought it was going to go to my baby or something. Oh my God. Thank God I reached out to a lactation consultant that I knew. And she was like, dude, take the eardrops. Oh my God. Put that in your ear.
Oh my gosh.
What else was I worried about? There was something else.
Topical things people get worried about too.
Yes, topical things.
Medications. Those things are all safe too. We get a lot of questions about like retinol. Can I use this cream that's got retinol in it?
Yeah. Yeah, Botox.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's not really medication, but I mean, you can do it.
Yeah. I mean, there's definitely, there's really not a lot you can't do. And I know, I remember talking about this at a breastfeeding class once, and I got a complaint that I talked about that. And the person that complained was I think she was like a pharmacist or something, and complained.
Oh, they're the worst. I feel like they're the worst with the information.
Yeah, complained to my instructor or to my boss that I was saying that medications were fine to breastfeed on. And it's like, you're the problem.
Yeah. Why would you? Okay, whatever.
Yeah.
You just see when you have people giving you this information, just double check. You can send us an email. Just double check the information that you're getting. badassbreastfeedingpodcast@gmail.com. And just double check. And we can let you know, and you can go back to them, or you can just feel fine. Sometimes they'll prescribe it, or they'll fill the prescription. And if you ask them oh, is it safe? They'll be like, oh no, it's not safe. But you leave with the medication. Just take it.
And a lot of it too depends on the dosage. Like I'll look at, I don't think, I mean, I think they just kind of look and go, oh yeah, no, this isn't safe. But you got to look at all the things. You got to look at the age of the baby. You have to look at the dosage. A lot of times the dosage that people are prescribed for a medication is lower than what they've even done the research on.
Yeah.
So it's like, no, the research that says it's safe is 50 milligrams and you've been prescribed 10.
Yeah.
So it's, you're totally safe to do it. And some things like that, like even just knowing those little things can make you feel more confident about taking the medication.
Yeah.
So it's really like LactMed is a really great resource for things like this. If you want to, educate yourself, it's right out there on the internet. But like I said, we can help you with it if you need be. And if it's something that really does not have, like things that really do not have any kind of research on them, like things like herbs and herbal different, like they really have no research on them. They're not regulated. Things like that I'm a little bit more nervous about because
it's also like here's like 5,000 milligrams of like some random thing.
I know.
Like, you're like, I don't know what 5,000 milligrams of that's going to do to you.
I know. So things like that, I'm a little bit more like, and I know people are like, oh, their herbs are safe. But things can be toxic in high amounts.
Yeah.
So you just got to really be cautious about stuff like that. So yeah, medications, they're safe overall. That's our message of the day.
Yes.
A lot
Thanks
of them are
for listening.
Safe. Thank you. Bye.